Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of FSI DFS. I'm MegaRuler31. We'll be breaking down the 7-game slate for Monday, the 13th of September. Hope everybody had a good weekend and maybe got to enjoy some football. And this is sometimes in years past. I don't know how much it is now because I think a lot of people are into DFS and it's not like it was maybe years ago when a lot of people would join for NFL football, and then the day after they get a taste and they'd win some, they'd try their hand at baseball and not really know like the matchups or the nuance or everything that you need to know. So there would be a lot of extra money in the player pool, and that would be easier for advanced players to take. So we'll see if that happens today. But if you're new to DFS and you did, have some success in football, congratulations. I'm glad that you're joining us today. And we're going to help you go out today and make some good decisions and build some good lineups so that hopefully you can continue to make money and not lose everything that you gain to get frustrated and drop out, because it's a really fun sport, but you got to be responsible. You got to manage your bankroll. You got to trust your process once you find it. So we're here to help you with that today. So weather looks great. No concerns there. We're just going to run through the games quick, and then I will give you some rosters to construct it. So first up, we have Miami Marlins and Washington Nationals. Both teams not really playing for anything, but I think there are some nuggets in this game that could be decent. Alcantara gets a start. He had a really great game last time out. He's been going pretty deep, like 7-8 innings. They really haven't been holding him back. Washington, besides Soto, really doesn't have much on this team. So I think definitely he's in play. Really like him. I think he's going to be my favorite higher price pitcher today. On the other side, Pablo Espino, Miami has been striking out. They're really not a great, scary team either. So at 6K, if he gets anywhere 12 to 15 points, I think that's decent in a GPP if you're looking to pay down for somebody cheap. Bat-wise, I think Miami's in a really good situation if you don't play Espino, if you want some pieces here. Like maybe like some of the lefties, or just Rojas leading off. There's some pieces there. Washington bullpen's not that great. Washington on the other side, I think would just be a leverage stack if Alcantara is going to have some ownership there. Maybe take Soto and some pieces there. I don't know if you could full 5-man stack them there. But I think if you're looking to be contrarian, I think they'll have a low ownership. Next up, we have Tampa Bay and Toronto. I see a lot of variation of who's going to pitch for Tampa Bay. I see Rasputin in some of them. I see Colin McHugh opening and Ryan Yarbrough long relief. I'm not interested no matter who ends up pitching for Tampa. I'm just going to avoid that situation. It's not because Toronto put up 22 runs yesterday. I just don't really think in the context of the slate that you need any of their arms there, especially with the potential for Toronto to go off. Alex Manoah on the other side of Tampa Bay has been better recently. There's still some strikeouts in the lineup. They're better against left-handed pitching than right-handed pitching. Manoah has been a good young pitcher, had some struggles at times. So I think in the medium range, he's okay. But again, I don't think you're going to really need him, but there are some situations we'll go over where you might end up on him, and I think he's fine to plug in there. I don't think he's someone I'd look for in cash based on the matchup, but overall, I think he is playable. Bat-wise, Tampa Bay, I think, would make a GPP stack because Manoah is decent, but they'll should have low ownership with all the other places people will be looking on this slate. Toronto, I think people might chase the 22 runs. I think they're in playing cash, but I think there's 3 other teams that I'd rather stack ahead of them, and even some other cheaper situations outside of cash that I'd consider before Toronto. Their pricing is just so high that I don't know. Even their catcher, like Kirk, who we're getting like a really good deal on, is up to 4.3. So the bottom of the lineup, Gurriel, Grichuk, if they're reasonably priced. So if you can work them as one-offs, that's fine. Or do maybe a cheap like mini stack. Timo's only 4.3, and then Gurriel and Grichuk. But the thing is if this is like a situation where you have like an opener and then Yarbrough, who's a who's a lefty, but then it turns into a bullpen game. Tampa Bay has a decent bullpen, so they don't need to leave Yarbrough out there long. They can mix and match from their bullpen, and they're pretty strong there. Next up, we have the St. Louis Cardinals and the New York Mets. I really like the potential for this game here. Very low total, 8, 4 on each side. Close to pick 'em, but favoring St. Louis. And Wainwright pitches for St. Louis, and he's been doing decent recently. They've been allowing him to go deep. St. Louis is one of the many teams that's fighting for that final NL wild card spot. So teams are going to do whatever they can. If their pitcher's out there, they're going to give them a little bit more leash. We talked about this with Philly, also letting their pitchers go a little bit deeper, as opposed to Milwaukee, who's kind of on cruise control, and they'll pull their pitchers, even if they're going to throw a perfect game, probably. They're out because it's load management for them. They're playing for the playoffs. They're already pretty much locked in. St. Louis and the Mets are not. So Wainwright, I think, is a good one here. The Mets had a decent series against the Yankees over the weekend. It is more of a pitcher's park than a hitter's park. So I kind of like that for Wainwright. Rich Hill on the other side, his most recent form, his last 3 games have been better. When the sticky thing came out, he just completely fell off. Tampa Bay cut him because I think they saw the writing on the wall there. But the pitching coaches from the Mets have really been working with him. He has been much better recently. He's still getting up a few runs, but the strikeouts are back. However, St. Louis has almost an all right-handed lineup against this lefty here, and they've crushed left-handed pitching. So I think Rich Hill is interesting. I think he's a GPP dart with risky. The price tag, if you need it, maybe sprinkle him into some GPPs, but I think I'd avoid him. I do like St. Louis as a stack. I think they are my favorite cheap stack, simply because the highest price guy is like Arenado at 4.8. Like they're all in like the mid 4K range. You don't have to pay for like 5K guys like you do on Houston and Toronto, and I think Tampa Bay, has a couple 5K guys. So they're reasonably priced. They're easy to fit in the stack. 5. I just really like Houston today. Mets on the other side, if Wainwright is going to be popular as a pitcher here, I think it's going to be between him and Alcantara in this price range. They could definitely, some of the lefties and switch hitters here, be a leverage stack for you. Battle of Texas, the Houston Astros and the Texas Rangers. Jacob Odorizzi and Spencer Howard. Odorizzi's been better recently, but they actually are making fun of him. He's only a 5-inning pitcher. He's gone longer than that, and he just simply runs out of gas and implodes. So he has faced the Rangers recently about 3 times, has about 6 strikeouts, does give up some runs. He's a reverse switch pitcher. So if you see an all-righty lineup, they'll start licking your lips. That's exactly what you don't want for Odorizzi. But at 7.6, I think he's viable. I think he could make a decent SP2 for you against a Texas lineup that is completely has a lot of strikeouts, have not been disciplined all year long. They have not been great. So I think he can go through again, get his 5 innings, get his 5 or 6 strikeouts at 7.6. It's not a bad price to pay for that. Spencer Howard, I've seen AJ Alexi on the others, like some places too, but I think Major League Baseball.com has Howard pitching, and usually they're the most reliable. I know DK has Alexi, and some other places do too. It doesn't matter. I don't care who the Rangers pitcher is. I'm fading them today. Houston bats, I really like, but I'm so confused here. DK, what are you doing? Gurriel, 5.7. I think he's one of the most expensive players on the slate. Let's see, how much is Mookie Betts? Mookie Betts is 5.5. Yeah. So I believe he's one of the most expensive players on the slate. Why? He has hit 2 home runs in the last month. He's averaging like single-digit DK points. There have been a couple games maybe within the last 10 where he's had like 12 or 14, but this dude is not cranking out like 20, 30-point games. Why are you 5.7? He is the second biggest fade on the slate for me. I'll get to the biggest fade coming up. So building the Houston stack, I think I'll take Altuve. Brantley, I don't know if he'll be in. He's had knee discomfort. He's pulled out Saturday's game. He couldn't play Sunday. Even if he's in tomorrow, I'd be a little bit skeptical about that. I think you will see him sit. I think you'll see Diaz come in and play, which is hard because then you have a choice, because Diaz plays second or third base, which is great to play to places, but I'd probably rather play Altuve or Bregman. If you want to pay down a little bit and save a little bit of money, then you could go him over Altuve, and then you're paying for like 2 4K guys and don't have the 5K guy in there. But I think Alvarez is decent. Correa, Tucker, McCormick, if he's in, isn't bad at 2K. And I think Maldonado is going to be my catcher because 2.9 is between him and the Boston catcher at the same price. They're both batting ninth. They both don't have the splits advantage. So I think I just side with the person with the higher total, with the guys up top that are more likely to probably hit him in. Texas on the other side, I think it's just nothing more than a leverage stack, something that's going to have super low ownership. And if you want to take some darts there in mass multi-entry GPP, I'm fine with that. Other than that, just leave them on the table today. Next up, we have a West Coast California Dreaming Special. We have San Diego Padres and the San Francisco Giants. Yu Darvish against, I think, an opener in a bullpen situation for San Francisco. Obviously not going to touch the San Francisco situation. The Padres, Darvish, he's at 9.3. I think out of the 3 pitchers, I take Alcantara, I take Wainwright. I think he'd be third. I'm putting him as GPP. I'm not putting him as a fade. He did pitch better last time. He did seem to finally get right, but he has struggled a lot. And San Francisco has a really good offense, and they can throw a ton of lefties at him and make his night absolutely miserable. So I don't know if Darvish at 9.3 can even get 20 DK points. I think we're talking 15 to 18. So, but he does have some ceiling. He is a very good pitcher if he can figure out and get it together and keep it together. So if you want to play him in GPP, that's fine. In cash, I would avoid him. San Diego against this bullpen situation, I think is good. Lefties, righties, whoever you want to throw out there, full 5-man stack. I'm fine with that. The wind looks like it's blowing out again in San Francisco at 16 miles per hour. So that definitely kind of makes me question Yu Darvish even more. And like the San Diego bats, San Francisco bats also, I love them as a stack. I'll be stacking with Boston, but also be playing some like one-off stacks of them too. And the reason I stack with Boston is I do that every single slate, and it's actually I'm up hundreds of dollars, only paying them for like anywhere from $1 to $3 a slate. They have come through more often than not for me. Next game is the Arizona Diamondbacks and the LA Dodgers. I talked about the biggest fade on the slate is Clayton Kershaw. He's making his return. He's limited to 60 pitches or about 4 innings, and he's 10-4. Way too expensive. Even if he gets 12 strikeouts and plays an immaculate inning for 4 innings, I highly doubt that he's going to pay off his price tag. So avoid Clayton Kershaw. You'll see the name recognition, but here's why you watch these videos. You need to know he's only going 60 pitches. He is a good pitcher. He's been a good pitcher, but he's not a good play tonight at all. Zach Gallen on the other side is fair, but up against the Dodgers, kind of scary. Who knows what Dodgers lineup they can roll out there. They're still like neck and neck with San Francisco trying to win the division, but I think both of them are clearly locked into the number 1 wild card. So I think Gilbert might be a GPP, but at 8-1, I think I'd rather go like Espino if I'm taking a dart against Miami, which is a much better matchup, or Odorizzi against Texas. Bat-wise, Arizona, I think people might say, oh, Clarishaw's only going 60 pitches, and they get the bullpen. Well, the Dodgers have a really, really good bullpen, maybe one of the best in the Major League Baseball. So maybe a cheap YOLO stack there. The Dodgers, I think, would be my 3rd favorite stack. I think it would go Houston, San Diego, then the Dodgers against Gallen. But then again, you never know who they're going to throw out there, and they have so many good hitters there that you never know whose night it's going to be. It's easier, I think, to pinpoint on Toronto, but the Dodgers are just so deep that it's very hard. But late night, I don't think many people are going to play them. They have a nice total, so I think in low ownership and cash, if you want to go for a kind of a sneaky low owned stack, go for the Dodgers, because I think a lot of people are going to be on Houston. People like to be able to watch their players play, and if most of the people are on the East Coast are going to pick earlier games generally. So Dodgers could be a nice late night hammer stack for you. Boston Red Sox and Seattle Mariners. Erod pitching for Boston. Love him today. I think he's my favorite SP1. Been in good form recently. 8-8. I think he's got a floor of at least 20 DK points. Could go up to 25 or 30 with Seattle here. Neutralizes the lefty power. Has been decent against righties also. Logan Gilbert on the other side. I think he's a GPP dart also. Red Sox have been a little bit banged up, but they're starting to get back there. And bat-wise, I think another late night stack would be good, especially like the lefties here. I'd definitely get in like Schwarber, Deaver, and Verdugo. Price on Schwarber's come back nicely, and then mix in like Kiki or Xander in there, maybe JD, Renfroe if he bats up. Travis Shaw might be in the lineup too. I said if you want to take Vasquez as the catcher, however it shakes out, there's a lot of good plays there. And Seattle, I think, would just be another leverage stack because I think Erod might be one of the most popular pitchers on the slate. So if you want to throw out a Seattle stack, if he struggles, then they're going to be low owned and you should do well and have some leverage on the field. Okay, so just to recap pitchers, Alcantara, Wainwright, and Darvish are my favorite ones. High, I think Darvish is very risky in GPP only. Alcantara and Wainwright are definitely decent plays there. I think I'm going to start with Erod in the middle, in the medium range, and then Manoah would be another option there. Odorizzi, I think, is my favorite cheap pitcher there. Only going to go 5 innings, 5 or 6 strikeouts, but a good matchup against the Rangers. And then everything else in this range is kind of a dart. Espino, my next favorite cheap guy. If you're really punting against Miami, Gilbert here against Boston is a GPP, and then Hill is been pitching better recently, but very risky against a strong right-handed lineup, he being a lefty for St. Louis. I'm fading whoever pitches for Tampa Bay, whoever the situation is for San Francisco, Howard, and definitely out on Clayton Kershaw. Top stacks are Houston, San Diego, Los Angeles Dodgers, and Toronto. For GPPs, I love San Francisco, Boston, and then Tampa Bay, I think, against Manoah is interesting there, but they'd be my least favorite out of all those 9 I just named. Cheap ones, I really like St. Louis. I think a full stack of them is good. Miami could be put up some runs against Espino if you're not playing him as pitcher. And then Arizona would be another cheap YOLO stack. Leverage stack, if you're going against popular pitchers, I think Washington, Mets, Texas, and Seattle. I think Washington would be the best one there. And the rest of them, I think, are like risky. They'd be mass multi-entry dollar. If you're playing quarter dimes, just throw something on the wall and see if it sticks. I think they're the best option. So let me pull up DK quickly for you here, and we'll do some lineup building quick, and then we'll get you on your way for the day. Okay, so here we go. And like I said, looking at pitchers, I'm going to lock in Eovaldi, and then I might figure out who my SP2 is. I'm just going to throw Alcantara in there just because he would be the highest one that we're going to consider. As I said, for catchers, I usually punt. I'm going to go with Maldonado. It's either going to be he or the one for Boston. If you're looking, it would probably be Vasquez. Maybe another catcher will come out that'd be cheaper, and then I'm fine switching to them. But that's where I'm going to go. So then we're going to look at Houston. And like I said, it's Houston here. Gurriel, no way too expensive. So give me Altuve, give me Alvarez, give me Tucker. And then if he gives me Bregman, that leaves about 3K per batter. And actually within here, ironically, you can fit all Marlins. So that's the first build that I'm going to kind of look at there. If I'm going Houston, staying with Houston, I think if you want to mix in some St. Louis bats, you're going to have to change up your pitchers. So I'm going to take these two off the board. And then for St. Louis, if you take Goldschmidt, then you take, I'm going to drop Bregman. I'm going to pick up Arenado because he's one of their better hitters. I don't really want to drop down to DeJong for because he is lower in the lineup and he's not. Let me just bring up his box recently, 10-game log. Yeah, like one home run there, but he's really inconsistent, not a great one. So I'd rather take Correa there. And then outfield, I would probably, you can either go, if Brantley's in, that's fine. O'Neill, you can drop all the way down to McCormick, like I said, if you want a 2K guy. If like Newt Barr is in, he's another 2K guy. He's been decent here and there. So there's a lot of options. And once you figure out who you want for outfield, then I'd go back and throw in the pitchers there. But you're probably going to be like down in some of the lower range ones. So you're probably going to be like maybe a Manoah and like an Odorizzi, maybe. That leaves, that doesn't even leave you enough money there. For this, you might have to, here you might have to drop Altuve if Diaz is in. Then that gives you at least 3K for something there. So play around with that. Or, you know, if you want to go in all St. Louis lineup, I think, you know, I'd keep Odorizzi. I'd go back up to Valdi there. Keep Maldonado as your catcher. And then St. Louis is here. Then I would think I would look at like O'Neill and Carlson to finish off the stack here. I'd probably go Edman at second. I think that's like pretty much 1 through 5. If you wanted to drop one of these guys and put in, Yadier Molina as your catcher, that's fine too. But this leaves you a decent chunk left to, you know, get 2 really good players at shortstop and outfield with these 2. So I kind of like that there. Again, I think try some San Francisco stacks and some San Diego stacks, especially the wind blowing out there and the pitching situations. And I think, you know, call it a day. So hopefully that helps you. Thanks for watching. I'm Megruler31. Leave some comments below if you have any questions, need some clarification. Check back if something radically changed into the slate. We'll throw some notes out there, maybe like 6:30 before lock. You can reach out to me, Twitter, Megruler31. So subscribe to our channel so you know when our videos are coming out and you see all the different things that we cover if you're new to watching this. And give us a like because that helps us get our message out for free to all the other people that might be out there looking for help in DFS. So thanks again for watching. I appreciate it, and we will see you next time.